Some of you know me fairly well. I've spent a fair amount of time in Dubuque over the last 20 years. It's one of my favorite cities. It really is. And it's really great to be here in the hometown of an exceptional young leader, your Congresswoman, Abby Finkenauer. She's incredible. Dad and Mom, all across the country, they're young women and men who aspire to public service, and that's good. People in their 20s, even teenagers who want to get into the game because they want America to make a life just a little bit better, a little fair, a little more hopeful for everybody. And they're among the most talented generation in American history, the best educated, the least prejudiced, the most engaged. And those young people may be wondering whether they can really make a difference. When I go on campuses, they always ask me that. And I can answer that question in one word: Abby. Abby. No, I mean it. The first woman along Cindy Axney that has ever been elected to the House of Representatives in Iowa's history. The second youngest woman in history elected to the Congress, second youngest in all of history. Her victory was genuinely historic. It was a milestone moment for Iowa and for the country. And it's brought along a tough, smart, and really competent candidate, and brought along a lot of others like Abby, right here in the heart of the country, make it possible for us to flip the House of Representatives and hold the president accountable. Because Abby in 18, along with some other incredible women, have been elected to the United States Congress, who've now allowed us to take back the House. We won 51 seats. 41 seats. We won 41 seats, and now we have to win 51 seats in the Senate. And look, we have to make sure we send Abby back to Congress in November and elect even more Democrats to the House of Representatives. Because, you know, the values of Iowa and the values of the Democratic Party, in my view, are one and the same. And I really mean it. Abby and I happen to share a rare honor. We're both elected to Congress when we were 29 years old. She was smarter than I am. And I only was able to go to the Senate. She went to a place where you get real things done in the House. But take it from me. When you get elected at a very young age to the House or the Senate, you have an awful lot to prove. And she has already proven herself to be an authentic, decent, honorable public servant, blessed with character and a lot of conviction, and a confidence that's born out of a certitude about who you are, the district she represents, and who the American people are. And Abby and I share an even more important bond than that. It's a simple one. We both come from the same kinds of homes. I grew up, like most of you did, believing there wasn't a single thing I wasn't going to be able to do, even though I came from very modest means. We were raised by parents and grandparents who said you can do anything you aspire to. They taught us the meaning of hard work, resilience, and the word I most often heard on my grandfather Finnegan's kitchen table and my dad's dining room table was dignity, the word dignity. I learned at my father's dining room table that money doesn't determine your worth. He said, Joey, no one in the world is more worthy than you, and everyone is your equal. And he meant it. Abby's grandfather was a firefighter here in Dubuque, as was mentioned. He didn't run away from danger, he ran into it. And her dad worked 16-hour shifts as a union pipe fitter and a welder. Her mom worked as a secretary in the school system. We all know the story. It's a story of your families and mine, families all across the country. But families of late that have basically been forgotten. It's a story that seems to be completely foreign to Donald Trump. I don't think he really genuinely understands at all what's at stake for most families. It's an Iowa story. It's an American story. And you know, I'm incredibly proud to have Abby standing with me in this fight ahead, because there's something that Abby knows and I know and all of you know. America wasn't built by Wall Street. The great middle class built America, and unions built the middle class. That's a fact. Ordinary Americans get up every single day, and they do extraordinary things, and all they just want a shot. My dad used to say, I don't want the government to give me anything, just give me a shot. Let me have a chance, a fair shot of making it. And the deck's been stacked. We now only reward wealth, not work. We have to start rewarding work and not wealth. You have a job. We have a job to get that done, but you also have a job, too. You have a job, you Iowans. You have a special responsibility. That's because every 4 years, democracy is replenished here in Iowa. It is. You set the nation on a path of picking the next president of the United States of America. So it's a big responsibility. And it's a bigger responsibility this year than any time you participated, because Donald Trump is president. And come January 2021, he can no longer be president for our own safety's sake. The next president of the United States is going to inherit a country that's divided and a world that's in disarray. There's going to be no time for on-the-job training. That's right. We're going to need a president who can bring us together. Day one. On day one. Amen. Thank you, sir. And they have to be able to reach across the aisle and get things done. I don't plan on being the Democratic president, the Republican president, or the independent. I plan on representing everybody. That's right. And that's what I've done my whole career. And I'll do it again. And we need a president, as illustrated by what's happening right now around the world, who on day one, Mr. President, can in fact command the world stage with no on-the-job training. I really mean it. We're going to have somebody who can stand up, and when they stand up and speak on January 21st of 2021, the world will know who that person is and know that that person knows who they are. I've met every major world leader. I know Vladimir Putin, and he knows I know him, and he knows me. I know our allies. We have to lead. Someone's going to have to lead our armed forces, repair our relationships with our allies, and once more, make the United States the leader of the free world, because absent us, the vacuum will be filled, and will not be filled by good guys. And here at home and around the world, there's so much we can do. This is our chance. This is our chance to win the battle for the soul of this country. This is our chance. This is the chance to build a healthcare system, provide for the peace of mind. I remember talking about moms and dads. I remember we lived in a 3-bedroom house with 4 kids and a grandpa. And I remember asking my mom, what did Dad seem so upset? He could hear him tossing in bed at night. Our rooms were right next to one another. She said, honey, we don't have any insurance anymore. We lost his insurance, his company. How many people would have to go to but for Obamacare would be going to bed at night staring at the ceiling thinking, my God, what happens? So instead of staring at the ceiling and wonder if I get a heart attack, if I have a heart attack, if I get prostate cancer, or if the woman's the head of household, I get sick, what will my family do? Well, here's my plan. My plan is to take Obamacare and build on it, getting universal coverage quickly and effectively for everybody. And I start by giving every single American the choice to stick with the plan they negotiated with their employer if they want to do that, or choose to get covered by a public option, which I add to my plan, which will allow them to get Medicare. Nobody knows better than you what's going to work best for your family. A public option that keeps insurers honest because they'll have to compete. They have to compete with your business, for your business, as a competitor, with a competitor who has no profit motive. That's why the insurance companies aren't so crazy about me. It won't force you to change. It won't force a change in anybody. Anybody who's happy with their negotiated plan with their insurer. But if their insurer cuts the plan, or they don't like it, they will have the leverage to be able to buy into and or get into directly a health care plan that covers all of their needs. Workers who have bargained for better coverage could keep them. Unlike the other plans being proposed, you have to give it up. Families in Iowa need the peace of mind and need it now. If you notice the other plans being offered by my friends, and they're good people, they're talking about it's going to take a 4-year transition, then you have to maybe have another 3 years after that. You know, that old expression, the long term will all be dead. We can't afford to wait for the entire health system to be dismantled and reconstructed from scratch. My plan will lower premiums, get us universal coverage, offer a Medicare-like plan for every single American at less than 1/30 of the cost of Medicare for all, and it will not raise your taxes in middle class. We're going to create an education system that makes it possible for your child, for every child, to go as far as their talent and dreams and hard work can carry them. Preparing students from pre-K through post-high school to succeed in the 21st century economy. We'll provide preschool for 3, 4, and 5 years old, all 3, 4, and 5 years old, dramatically increasing the chances of every study at every great university in this state and every other points out, increasing by 48% the likelihood they'll earn at least an associate's degree, get all through school and earn at least an associate's degree. We'll triple the funding for Title I schools and make sure American teachers get the pay raise they deserve. We'll make community college free, cutting in half the cost of a 4-year degree, and we'll cut the rate of student loans in half so that you never have to pay more than 5% of your disposable income. And we'll offer a $10,000 a year debt relief for all of those of you who have a debt and work in public service. We're going to stand strong against the scourge of violence against women. And we're going to protect the women's right to choose. And I promise you, on day one, we'll get rid of the president's cruel policy of putting kids in cages, ripping them away from their parents. That's not who we are. That is not America. And we'll put in place immigration policies that recognize that immigration is about family. It's about family. The damage being done to our reputation around the world is stunning. We're going to invest in new technologies that can make America the world leader in combating climate change, building greater resistance into our communities like Dubuque that have experienced the firsthand disasters that result from climate change. Here and elsewhere, we're going to rebuild our roads, our highways, our ports, our airports, creating millions of good-paying jobs with green construction. We're going to rebuild new standards that can withstand climate change. Not just rebuild to what it was before, rebuild to what it must be now. And the first thing I'll do as president is have America join the Paris Climate Accord, which I helped put together. First thing. And I'll invite the nearly 200 nations that joined to a summit here in Washington to up the ante on the commitment they have made to keep their commitments to deal with climate change. And if they don't, the rest of the world will deal with them in terms of their economic impact that's going to have on others. Yeah. Look, the United States represents 15% of the world's problem. We do our part here at home. We have to, because without us doing it like now, the rest of the world's walking away. We also need to make sure the rest of the world does their part. Above all, we're going to unify this country. The very democracy, our very democracy, is in jeopardy as I speak. Yes. And democracy depends on consensus. Our system is built in a way that you cannot get anything done under our constitutional system unless you generate consensus. That's right. When that doesn't occur, what happens? You see the abuse of power by the executive branch. So we have to be able to pull this country together. Democrats, Republicans, and Independents. There are several of my colleagues in this race who say that I'm naive. Yeah, Joe used to be able to do that all the time. Joe was the guy who, and they'll start naming all the stuff I did in the past, but he can't do that anymore because Joe doesn't understand this new Republican Party. I understand this new Republican Party. They've spent millions of dollars trying to defame me. They spent millions of dollars going after my surviving son. They've spent millions of dollars and telling lies about me. I understand them well. But guess what? Presidents not only need to be tough, they need to be able to unify. They need to be able to unify. It's not about me. I understand these guys. I understand them well. But it's not about me. It's about you. It's about America. It's about how we're going to move forward. The president has to be ready to fight, but also to unite. As I said, it's not about Twitter rants attacking your opponents that even some Democrats are doing lately. It's not what the American leader, the President of the United States, is supposed to do in leading this country. And folks, I'm running for president for three simple reasons. The same ones I said from the beginning. First of all, is to restore and reconstruct the soul of America. That includes further living up to the necessities of fully and finally expanding the promise of America to black and brown Americans as we have for others. That's necessary. Second reason I'm running is what Abby's all about, rebuilding the middle class, bringing everyone along, regardless of race, gender, ethnicity, disability. Everybody comes along this time, everybody. And thirdly, to unify the country. That's what I'll do. That's what I'll do as your nominee for president. That's my personal pledge to you. Today, when I was 29, I was listed like Abby was, as this idealistic, optimistic young guy. Well, I've never been more optimistic about America's prospects than I am today. Think about who we are. This is the United States of America. We're walking around with our heads down. Woe is me. What are we going to do? We're the wealthiest nation in the history of the world. We're the most powerful nation in the history of all humanity. We have warriors that exceed any group of warriors that ever existed on the face of the earth. We've led the world not by the example of our power, but by the power of our example. That's why the rest of the world has followed us. Our workers, they are 3 times as productive as workers in Asia. That's a fact. 3 times productive. Ask the president of this great university. We have more great research universities in the United States of America than all the rest of the world combined. And you all own them. You own them. Every major change helping humanity has come out of one of those research universities, not out of a corporation. Corporations monetize it, but they come from the research and developments that have existed as a consequence of the brilliance of our folks. And folks, in addition to all that, the United States of America, we've demonstrated there's not a single thing we cannot do when we decide to do it together. Think about it. America has never, ever failed. Never once, in war or in peace, when we've set a goal and decided we're going to do something. So what is wrong with us? Let's get rid of this guy as president and rebuild this country and take back the century. We can do it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for joining me. And ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you. I'm known in Washington as Jill Biden's husband. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to my wife, Jill. I don't think she needs that. Do you need that, baby? All right. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks. You can sit down. Thank you, Abby. You know, you've always been a leader, and it's wonderful to see you here and see you supporting Joe and with your parents and using your voice to represent Iowa's 1st District. So thank you for your work here, and thank you for your leadership in this campaign, and thank you for making the Biden family so proud. So thank you. And it's good to be back here in Dubuque. I feel right at home here in the college. I am a college educator, and thank you, Mr. President. And hey, I could get used to saying that, Joe. So, in 31 days, just 1 month from today, Iowa has a choice to make. Yeah. But just for a moment, I want to take you into the future, past your caucus, past the New Hampshire primary, past Super Tuesday, past the election. So picture it. It's 2021. It's a beautiful morning. You wake up, you're sipping your morning coffee. You pick up the morning paper, and the headline isn't about some late-night tweet storm. Instead, it's about a story about our children who will benefit from universal pre-K. It's about how teachers are finally getting a raise. You read about how we're investing in wind tech energy and the kind of green technology that is going to create jobs right here in Iowa. Then you turn, yeah, you can clap for that. Then you turn on the news, and the anchors aren't talking about how we're on the brink of some ill-advised war. Instead, they're talking about how we're going to build on the Affordable Care Act with a public option and bringing down prescription prices. And they're reporting that finally, someone is standing up to the NRA and keeping our kids and our schools safe. And when they cut to the President of the United States, you don't turn the channel. That hit a nerve, didn't it? You call in your kids from the other room because you want them to hear what the President of the United States has to say. A commander-in-chief you can trust, a leader who brings people together instead of tearing families apart like we've seen at the border, like I saw at Christmas time. A president you can feel proud of, who believes that our best days are ahead of us. And there's only one candidate that can get us to that future. There's only one candidate that can bring us together in this divided time. And there's only one candidate who can take on Donald Trump in states like Pennsylvania, Ohio, Wisconsin, Florida, and Michigan. And that candidate is Joe Biden. So, I've been making calls all over the state. And I called someone the other day and I said, you know, what are you interested in? What's your, you know, what issue are you interested in? And they told me, and I talked to them, and they said, and I said, great, then you're going to support my husband Joe, right? Because he's right on this issue. And you know, they said, well, you know, I only met Joe 3 times, and I met the other candidates 7 times. So maybe if Joe comes over to my house for dinner, maybe I'll talk to him and think whether I can support him or not. So that kind of hurts my feelings, you know, because I think, what? You haven't made up your mind? You don't know who you're going to support? You know, I understand this is a big decision for all of you Iowans. And I respect that you really take it seriously and you meet all the candidates and you talk to them and you get their positions. And I know that you have a lot of things to do and you're really busy. But on the list that you've made this year, your to-do list for this year, I'm sure you all have those lists that you've gotten out. So today is the day you're going to cross off your list. Decide who I'm going to commit for. Because today you're going to commit for my husband, Joe Biden. Today, Iowa is the day we're going to start to beat Donald Trump. It starts today. It starts with you. And who are my educators here? Who are the teachers here? Okay, I have a job for you. Because I know teachers, I've been teaching 35 years. And the one thing I know about teachers is that they are organized. They have a strategy. They have a plan to get things done. And most of all, they have a teacher voice to use in the caucus to bring people to their corner. So teachers, I want you to take that next step further. I want you to be our precinct captains. Yes, you're going to be the organizers because I know the strength of teachers. So, you know, I'm so excited as we go into this because I know how proud the teachers are going to be on Inauguration Day when they look at their president, and that president is going to be the president who supports education. But more than that, the person standing right next to your next president will be a teacher. So Team Biden is here. People are here to take your names. If you want to come sign up to work for our campaign, today is the day. You have 31 days left. And in closing, I just want to say to all of you, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your time, your energy, and your commitment. But more than that, thank you for your faith in an idea that's bigger than any one of us. And that is that we can build a better nation if we do this together. Thank you. May God bless our troops.